Hey, Corey. So, firstly, thank you for your patience. I sincerely appreciate it. I know it's been a long time, but you, as well as other people, have been waiting very patiently for a long time, and I appreciated it. It okay, let's try that again. I now have the door locked. So, I'm getting down to the end. Believe it or not, this is the 38th job. In January 2019, I had just under 200. But this is here, and this is the last Arnie. I've been looking forward to this one. I love watches that show a working history like this. It's got all these little pits on the surface here. That's from typically when I see that, and I get an explanation for why it is that way. It's welding. You get little things like that. But underneath that pitted crystal, we got white loom. That's pretty cool. So we're going to pull this thing apart, but I bet you it's going to be nice. The case back got manually brushed by somebody. It's not really supposed to look like that, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, I want to pull this apart now. The first thing is going to be pulling this shroud off. This is an original shroud, and these are delicate. This one does not appear to be cracked. Oh, no, it's maybe right there. It might be cracked. Let me look at that closely. Or it might just be a big honking scratch. Okay, let me get those screws out of there, and I'm going to very gingerly remove that shroud. Okay. There you can see there's the sleeve in there. Yeah, this is the one thing. Thankfully, good reproductions are being made. It's just, I don't know whatever the material is that Seiko used for this, but if it starts to shatter, boy, you're just, ooh boy, there's no stopping it, basically. Once it starts going, that's the end of it, and it won't stop. Old school spring bars on here. Get those out. Yeah, look at that. Somebody brushed the ends of the lugs too. Those are supposed to be high polish. Oh, would you stop it? I want to be able to get right at this. There we go. I think, are going to need to get you some, I don't know. We'll see. Get those cleaned up. Typical. Come on. Hang on a second. Okay, I have the original spring bars out, and the screws, and the sleeves. You want to pull those sleeves out because they kind of go through the shroud and they lock into the case. And if you try to just pop the shroud off, they'll stay in there, and then the shroud will bend when you're trying to get these overlapping clippy parts in, and then they'll crack. Even without those in, though, this is going to be real interesting to see. It's always delicate piece of business trying to get those out of there. Always delicate. Yeah, gosh. Yeah, because it'll come up on the sides beautifully, but it's caught because there's a lip right here. I want to be right on top of this when I'm doing it. Okay, yeah, that's the keys. You've got to have those shroud sleeves out, those screw sleeves out. Got to. Because then the whole thing can come up. Oh, it's always nerve-wracking. There it is. Yeah, no cracks. Gotta pull those shrouds. Gotta pull those sleeves. Whew. Okay. Ugh, my heart rate can go down now. Never take any of this stuff for granted. Never, ever, ever. Okay, that rotates. That's good. these, when they're stuck, especially if the bezel is really stiff, which is almost always the case, it's real interesting to try to get these things off. A lot of times what you have to do is actually use a couple thin blades to get in there, to be able to lever it up in sections. Oh dear. Because you want a nice thin blade that is not too, that is nice and strong. So we are going to use my grandfather's Imperial single blade pocket knife. Because you can use a regular case knife, but knife is knife. You see, you've got this nice curved edge, and it's quite a slim blade, and it's good steel. That's what we want, because you want to be able to make sure that you can get into that gap. Ooh, you see, that was so nice. Normal, I've had these things where they have just, you just cannot believe how hard it is to get them off. Wait, where's your rotate, where's your gasket? It's just, there's no gasket in here. Huh. Funky. And is that glue? What is that? And there's a hair in it. Well, I'm going to have to go over that and clean it carefully. Yikes. I'm going to have to clean this carefully, too, before I open this thing up. Okay, yeah, because disassembling the case is the last thing I'm going to do. Alright, so, no, I lied. I'm going the other way. I want to get those hands off of there. So these work the same way as a 6309, etc., a 6105, in that they have a crystal retaining ring that snaps onto the case, and that, in turn, holds the crystal in place. Okay. Old crystal like this, you've got your Viton crystal gasket is still there. The nice thing about Viton is it just sits there. But we have to break the seal, because these L gaskets will hold on to a crystal. Now, with all the pitting on the surface there, I'm not sure that my suction cup is going to enable us to pull a crystal, because you don't ever want to pry at it. It's a real good way to damage the dial or hands. That's definitely the situation. So it's a mystery as to whether or not this will work. I don't think so. Hang on a second. Okay. So I got that loosened up. Come on. I know you're loose. I know you want to come out. Come out. Wherever you are. Normally with the suction cup, it just goes and it pops out. With all those little pits, it won't do it. Yeah, you see? Look at that. Look at that. Your text is faded. Gosh, everything else is just perfect. Fantastic. There's your chapter ring. Here is your Viton crystal gasket. There's that. Yeah, that's beautiful. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. Let us... I want to get that case back off of there now, because I want to drop a battery in there and see what we've got going on. That is one wacky case back seal. Oof. Got that. Let us see what the heck is going on. There's that. Your anti-magnetic shield. That over there. Okay. That goes away. That goes away. Just like that. Okay. Let us get the thing out of there. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to have a base reading for this. So I want to drop a battery in there and see what the heck is going on. So hang on. Okay. We have LCD, we have LCD, we have analog. Segments I'm seeing are clear. Yeah, okay. Well, I've been filming for about 15 minutes and just this second realized that the camera wasn't on. So we missed a lot of cool stuff. But we're down here now. This is the train. This is the heart of the movement. Train bridge. That's where the coil goes. So now it is time to pull that off of there and get this thing down to the basics. FML. Why don't I just buy better equipment? Nope, because every day it's just like, well, there's no time. I can't do it. Don't have time to do it. I got to just push ahead. I got to push ahead. So every single day you are working with things that needed to be replaced. That ain't the right way, but it is the Klein way. You should have seen my dad's collection of ad hoc tools. Stuff that he cooked up and cobbled together because he had a need right then and there. Then he ended up using those tools for decades. I remember he had a spot welder he made because he wanted to spot weld from one side, not both sides, and instead of just going and buying one, he took an ancient one that belonged to his father and modified it, did all this crazy modification to it, and it worked, sort of, but it worked enough, and then he just kept using it. Okay, there's your crown wheel. There's your bridge. There's your train. Fourth wheel and pinion. Third. This little baby. There, right there, that's your stepper motor. I can't believe that I was sitting here chattering and talking and filming, except I wasn't filming. Ridiculous. There's that. Oop. This is where your cannon pinion is. You got your cannon pinion and it slides in there. So this outer ring section will turn. Lots of fun. There's that unit wheel. Then we have our wheel. Goes on there. You have this little intermediary diddly thingy. It goes on there. Now this is your hacking lever. That's your stepper motor. Come here. Whoop. I clean the stepper motors typically by hand because if there's any rust or metallic debris that got into the movement, it will stick to the stepper motor, because the stepper motor is super duper magnetic, and so it'll go right there, and you have to manually clean it. There's no option. I still cannot believe that I was filming for like 15 minutes and the camera wasn't on. All that effort and work. Alrighty, I gotta pull these last few things apart, and that will be the end of that story. That little spacer block. You always got to be careful. Anything like this, it's spring loaded. It's going to go kapoink. That is what this does is this basically stops power going when you turn the hacking lever. It circuits that out. And here is the physical hacking lever, so that the watch is not continuing to try to drive the train. That, and there's the screw for that, and that's it. There it is. Isn't that cute? Alright, time to put it together, time to clean. Okay, so all out of the cleaners, everything is ready to start reassembling. Everything looks good. These don't really wear a whole lot, so the only thing on these that will ever truly wear, I find, is going to be this cannon pinion center wheel setup. But that didn't seem to be a problem to me, so I am going to go ahead and put this together. Now I have to be right on top of this, so because the ports and the jewels are very small, I've got to be right on top of what I'm doing. But I'm going to start putting this together and making this happen. Okay, that's all together. Dropped together nicely. All the pieces are back. There's your hacking lever spring. This spring right here is where it ought to be. Super critical thing to not forget. So, don't ask me how I know that. We have now our spacer block. Super cool. So, we got to put our piece back in our spacer block. Come on, drop in here for me. Okay, cool. So now, put it back into the other side and we can start building. There we go. Make sure we don't have any glare on there for you. Let's see what's going on. Yep, looks decent. Looks how we want it to look. Okay, hang on. Okay. Did the next super delicate thing, which was assembling the LCD. Getting real careful. Those things are the sort of metallicized rubber connectors. The whole thing is like rubber, but it's got these little teeny tiny insulators and conductors in there, and you just have to be sure about what you're doing. So, whoops, here I am going backwards. Hang on. There's your stem diddly. And here is your I don't want to say it's discriminator, that's not the right word. Your trimmer. There you go. Then you have this, it's the base for the alarm spring. That falls right into place. This nice large post will hold that alarm spring there on top of the base. Now, there's the lyre, which I cleaned by hand. I don't want to risk putting that thing through anything if I can avoid it. Gosh darn it. Okay. A little trapper keeper here. Yeah, it's always fiddly getting this stuff together because it's like you've got all these little springs and they're on plastic posts and you just never know what you're going to face when you're doing this. Then, of course, your happy little insulator doing its job. Just like that. We have our contact for the negative. Okay. Our circuit. Looking beautiful. Beautiful circuit. Nice. Okay, the circuit is sitting where it ought to. Let's just take a breath here for a second. Okay. This plate goes on. Come on. And it's got a couple little locating pins right there. There's one, there's the other. Like that. But they're not held down. You got to get to the next plate, which both clicks and snaps into place. Look at how nice and clean it is, hmm? That is how we do it. There's a few things we've got to do here. Hang on just 1 second. Got a few things you got to snap under here. That goes in there, that goes under there, that goes under there. This, that gets snapped in there. It's in there. So now we can put our screws in. Then I have to rebuild the stem. One, two, and 3. Let's get those dropped into place. Let's see. It's always the thing when you're assembling this, you've got to make sure that everything is tucked in where it's supposed to be. Otherwise you'll bend stuff. Specifically these operating levers are right here. There. Those are both clicked in where they ought to be. Got to make sure that's done right. There's that. Always got to be careful. Come on, Drop in, drop in. Okay, I need to get this seated properly. Okay, so this is right in the middle. It's kind of the base setting where this goes. Okay, let me get that crown rebuilt now. Okay, I've had to go in a couple of times here to chase down. This one appears to be only solvable by replacement. Your bulb, this is your bulb right here. When I make the connection, it'll only flash for a second. It goes beep, and then it's off. That should be on all the time. So when the watch is fully assembled and I hit the light button, this thing is shorting out and it's draining all the power down to nothing, and the whole watch stops and the light's not even going. So I'm going to have to replace that bulb block if I can't figure out where that short is. Okay, I'm going to try this pretty crude setup, but see if I can show you what I'm talking about. So basically I've got this very silly setup. Come on. Gosh, you can't even see it. It's doing it. There. It should go on and stay on. And it's just going flick and it's cutting right back out again. So we got us a bad bulb block. Okay, I am very much at the end of my day. But let's figure out our accuracies. Here we are there. Handy dandy QT99. I just want to let it go for another gate 10. I have it set it averages out every 10. So let's let it get through another 10 here. Ugh, 5 o'clock. Alright, well, that's holding steady, so let's move. Actually, hang on. Okay, let's wait for another 10 to go by. Okay, holding steady. Let's drop this down again. Those are some pretty big jumps. I hope we have enough room on this to get it down to where it needs to be. I've had to go back into this movement 3 times to get everything performing the way it ought to. Let's just start again. Let's just turn that around and see what happens. Okay. Let us... No, I should be... To slow it, I should be going down this way. That's pretty weird. I wonder why that is not dropping. I might have to go back in there and make sure that the trimmer connections are correct. because it's not really moving, and we should be able to adjust things a lot. God, do I have to go back in there again? No, we got a little bit of movement. Okay. Thank goodness. Last thing I want to do, I want to have cheese and crackers. But still, that's only half a second a day. I mean, that's a lot for one of these, but... yeah, it's not moving. That's pretty weird. I don't quite know what's up with that. It should be really behaving right now, and I don't know why it isn't. Yeah, you had the bad bulb block. I had to go back in and deal with the selector liar thing, and it was not behaving correctly, and now I've got this thing going on. Would you stop it? Let's try that way. Let's see if we can get anything to move. Okay, it's going up. It's got to have more than 2 speeds. This variable trimmer should be doing its business. Oh, that's better. Okay, so that means that means that it went around, because this thing, you can only go around so far before it kicks around the other side. So I might need to go back in there and look at those connections again. It's 0.2 of a second per day. I mean, that's accurate, but we should be able to get a lot tighter than that. But I have run across them before where they just won't drop any further. I'm doing a little bit of adjustments here, seeing if I can get anything to change. It's going up. $47. Okay, I gotta go in and look at that circuit again. Okay, well, there it is. It took longer than I anticipated. I had to go back into the movement, I think, 5 times. The tightest I was able to get it in terms of accuracy was just a hair over 0.2 of a second per day. That's quite tight. I went in and I replaced the trimmer and I cleaned all those connections, and that was simply the tightest I could get. It was 2.2. Your shroud came out very well. I'm pleased it actually is still pretty flexible. It's rare to see. Whatever the materials were in here, it lasted very well. So it cleaned up nicely. Interestingly, speaking of all the welding damage, right here, that's a little blob of metal welded to the rotating ring. Everything works as it should. Got your lamp going with the new bulb block. All your old stuff is in here. Your seal, the bulb block, the old one, that's all in there. Your alarm works as it should. Nice, easy turn left and right. And that was a lot of fun. What great watches, don't you think? Just great. All right, well, that's it. Thank you so much for your patience. I sincerely appreciate it. I cannot wait to get this back to you. Okay, thank you. Oh, hang on. Okay, it's pretty late, and I did some more poking, and I've got it there. I mean, I've got it tighter than 2.2, so that's good. I can't get any tighter than that, but that's still pretty good. Okay, it's pretty late. I'm done.